Oh, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And the feeling that I want to talk about today is the feeling of amusement, really, more than anything else. But I'm going to be talking about the what if monster. If any of you relate to that, hi, Jeannie, good to see you. Um, for those of you who don't know, Jeannie is one of our admins, and Jody, our sort of full-time admin, is just told me she's going to be a couple of minutes late because I don't know if any of you relate to this, but just as we were about to go live, she managed to drop a juice box on herself. So she's just cleaning up the mess. So Jeannie's saying there's a chilly morning there in Maine. It's a beautiful spring day here in southern British Columbia, so it's wonderful. Anyway, we're going to be talking about the what if monster and also what happens if you happen to do it in Confetti Corner. Now, Confetti Corner is what I call my craft room, and there's a reason for it because I'm forever cutting up bits of paper that drop all over the place. So I wanted to, before we get into the broadcast, give a big hug to Lauren in Tasmania. Her mum has been in hospital all week. We're hoping that she will be home soon. She's been having chest problems on and off all year, and in fact for probably 2 years now. And she just recently got this RSV as well, and she's really been through the wars with it. So thoughts and prayers would be appreciated for her mom. And I said to Lauren, maybe it's time she gets to see a specialist. And she was saying that her doctor doesn't think so. And I'm going, I really don't care what your doctor thinks. If that were my mom and she was having that many problems with her lungs, I think I'd be seeing a respirologist to see if, we can do anything to help her, wouldn't you? So we're going to be supporting Lauren and, getting a little bit stronger on that one. I haven't heard back from Angela. Well, I have, but I don't think she's had that second interview yet, but we'll see. Or maybe she has. No, I don't know. Anyway, I can't say for sure. And by the way, it is week 16 of not buying any meat. And the reason, for those of you who don't know, the reason for that is that during the pandemic, I filled up my freezer. I've got a big freezer. I got a big freezer that you could store a couple of bodies in. And I've also got, I've got a double door fridge here with a freezer underneath it. And both those were absolutely full to the top. And what I'm desperately trying to do is to eat down some of that food. It's ridiculous. It's been there for, too many years now. I need to eat it or throw it out. So that is my trick. Every, month, I open it up and I take a whole lot of stuff out and then downsize it, either eat it, or throw it away. And what I do is I downsize it from the big freezer, put it into this freezer to eat during the month. I wonder if that makes sense. Anyway, so now, to be fair, Benji came to visit me and bought me really nice steak, like steak. And, I don't count that because I didn't buy it. But I am enjoying it. And it made me think about how my appetite has changed, because in the old days he bought me steaks sort of this size, and in the old days I could eat a steak that size and feel quite okay with it. I cut those into 3, so I think he bought me 5 steaks of this size and this thick, and I ended up making 15 meals for myself out of it. So that's pretty effective. Hi there, Jody. And are you all nice and clean now? It is said that the thing about what ifs is that they don't matter. They don't change anything, and all they do is make it unable for you to heal. Well, what I want to talk about today, and because I'm always sort of on this tack, right? What if we turn it around and make the what ifs useful to us, all right? And so the first thing I wanted to do in terms of this is say that, do you all know where the what if monster came from, where we got that expression? Some of you may know that it came from a book, and it's about a guy called Jonathan James, and how he has this little monster running around with him saying, what if, to everything that he does, all right? And then, of course, it's a lesson for children to learn to say that most of us think, well, what if it's something bad happens? Well, very few of us have learned the trick of what if something good happens. And so what I've learned to do, this is just what I do for myself, is whenever I hear my mind go, yeah, but what if, and I go, yeah, but what if it doesn't? All right. So I make sure I balance out very quickly. However, I have also learned, and this, funny enough, has saved me in a number of cases. I have also learned to say, okay, I hear you. What if? So let me now look at it and go, can I be more prepared, not scared? And obviously, there's a little, like, what if? I think one of the things I was really grateful for is that at the beginning of the pandemic, for example, I went to the bank and I pulled out cash because everything I knew about world disasters is cash becomes very important. And I didn't store it under my mattress, just in case you're thinking of coming to my house and trying to find it. But I did take some cash out, and I'm really grateful because 4 years later, I'm amazed how many things have happened where I go, oh, hang on a second, I've got cash. And so that is a good thing. So see the good and the bad of things if ever you can. Yeah, Jody's saying that's true, Sal. If we spend time ruminating over what if in the negative way, why not turn it around and what if in the positive way? And that's what I'm going to be showing you a practical example of, Jody. So good, all right? And that's the whole thing. To me, I see the what if monster as my risk manager inside, something trying to warn me about something. And I see it as a positive, not a negative. So, let's have a look at some of these. What I did was I tried to think of some things that we all probably have done, right? Pretty sure that more than one of the viewers, and feel free to chirp in if this is true, with the Middle East conflict going on at the moment, I'm pretty sure more than one of you have said to yourself, what if this turns into World War III? Right? Anybody? Have any of you thought that? Now, there are a lot of people going, really? And I'm going, no, I think it's very wise to spend a moment going, what if it does? Let's hope it doesn't, but what if it does? Spend a moment. All right. And I was thinking about how fortunate we are. You know who I am, so I've spent a little bit of time looking at disasters and world wars and how do people eat, what do they eat, how do they eat, whatever. How many of you remember the days of the meatloaf? Right? That came about in wartime when people were stretching meat, right? So what they did is they added vegetables to meat. Hi there, Sandy. Good to see you. And so, you look at it and you go, what they did is they became more vegan, is basically the truth of it. They learned to live without. And Jody, I was thinking how fortunate you are in lots of ways, because you're really an expert at intermittent fasting. I know that you can manage on beef broth for 3 months if you have to, right? It's just like, maybe it's the time for those of you who have not adjusted your diet at all, start looking at plant-based foods. Can you eat them? Can you enjoy them? And by the way, if I have time at the end here, I promised you I would mix up my version of home. I showed you that. Hello. What did I do with it? I know I pulled it out, people. There it is. All right. Then I bought, I'm not advertising this product, but I brought some fake burger. And it tasted so good that I have been using it because it's so quick. You don't have to defrost anything. I've been using it for shepherd's pies and for all sorts of things, meatballs, you name it, because I enjoy it. So, Jody, I was thinking, in a way, we are lucky, those of us who have started eating plant-based stuff, to some degree, because we're already there. for those people who can intermittent fasting, right? Can you get down to 2 meals a day if you're eating 3? Can you learn to do that? Can you learn to do more soups and things with your leftovers? Jeannie is an expert. And I was thinking, people like Jeannie are going to be in their element. Why? Jeannie's a giver. So, she'll be feeding the neighborhood if necessary. That's what she does. It's her mentality. Jody, I know you've fed, your neighbors upstairs a number of times, and so it's like, I think in a way it brings out good things in people. So don't always see things as a negative. However, if World War III comes, what are the chances that, that a nuclear war will start, in which case we probably won't be around to worry about it. In which case, why worry? And by the way, worry is a total waste of time. Either what if it and do something, or let it go. All right, that's my recommendation. Don't sit and worry about it, because worrying about it has no effect whatsoever. However, if you say, well, what if, let me start learning that baked beans on toast twice a week is a good idea. All right. Yes, worry is the thief of joy. Okay. So I thought it was quite cute. For example, one of my neighbors came around yesterday about something. And actually, I'd given her a gift of something. And it was that vacuum. I've got this thing that vacuum seals lids onto mason jars. And it was so useful. And I know that she makes salads a lot. So I bought her one because I knew she'd enjoy it. She's forever feeding me dinner, isn't she? Yeah, Jeannie's saying, thanks, Sal. I made soup yesterday out of the leftover veggies and gave some to my house cleaner today to take. I know that's who you are, Jeannie. It's what you do, right? You share. You're a big sharer. And, I would say that it's hardship times will bring out the best for all of us, all right? So do you understand the whole trick about this is not to get bogged down into the negative of it. Just go, okay, what if? Good question. That you see, if you say good question and then say, what am I going to start learning? What skill? Do you know how to darn? I remember when I was growing up, we never threw socks away. When they got holes in them, we darned them. Do you know how to darn? Do you know how to mend clothes? Right? Not because you have to, because you might want to learn that skill. On the other hand, you might not. But if you are the person that knows how to do that, then you could end up earning money by doing it for other people. So don't see it as a negative. Use it as a positive is my lesson here. Have any of you asked the question, seeing as it's all happening in the Middle East, what if the price of oil doubles? All right? I wonder if any of you have asked that question. Well, what if it does? How many of you already are using your vehicles less and less? I think I use mine once a week now. I sometimes take it out twice a week, but mostly to charge up the battery. It's, if I only do a short trip on the one day, I will take it out a second day. But I literally am down to using my car once a week, which is making me think that it might almost be worth not having a car and maybe using Uber, which would actually end up being less expensive, I think. So what if the price of oil doubles? Okay. How many of you have oil-fired heating? You may want to think about that. Yes, Jody's saying we plan errands more carefully, so we are out and about less. Yes, and I don't believe in getting out and about less in as much as get outside and get the fresh air. But yes, using your vehicle less is a really good idea. And by the way, I have found out that, once you use your vehicle less, your insurance goes down. That's a good point as well, right? So the next question I had, have any of you asked yourself, what if the price of food keeps rising? How many of you have noticed? The price of cheese has doubled in the last couple of years. Actually, I would say has doubled probably since we went into pandemic. That absolutely blows my mind. All right. Um, so I started to buy fake cheese. It doesn't cheaper, but it's less cholesterol for me, which is a good thing. All right. Um, but it's like, how many of you have noticed that the price of food just keeps going like that, and the price of everything keeps going like that? All right. So Jody's saying the price of Hawaiian dinner rolls is almost $8. So learn how to, how to make them, Jody. I know that, or teach um, Lionel how to make them, right? And so this is like, if you haven't learned how to make bread, maybe it's time, all right? Not just for you, because somebody like Jeannie will be able to make bread for her neighbors and her dog groomer and whoever else she fancies. Learn how to do these things, or get a community of people together where somebody. I was telling you about a neighbor who came to visit, and and with the mason jar thing, and she saw my lettuces that are growing. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm growing lettuce. I always wanted to grow lettuce." And so she said, "You know something, Sal? If ever there's a world war, we know you're going to be eating well." I said, "Yeah, and so will you, because you're my neighbor." So Jeannie's saying, "I went to Trader Joe's recently. It's further away than many grocery stores. I bought some cheese there because the prices are very good." Trader Joe's, yes. Um, Hi, Gemma. Gemma's saying the prices are starting to come down in the UK. Hi, Gemma. It's really good to see you there. Um, a block of cheese is about £3 there. Well, £3 sterling. How heavy would that block of cheese be? Just so that we've got something, and you can give it to us in grams because we can sort of roughly convert it for the Americans who don't understand that language. Are we talking 500 grams, like a pound of cheese, or a kilo? Or is it a block like 250 grams? Half a cup. Let us know. I want to tell you, we are paying, just so you know, in Canadian dollars, for a block of cheese like this, and about this thick, I'm paying about $8 or $9 now. Quite scary. So what I want you to do is to be aware. Can you, you know, I still have fake cheese in my pantry, and it's because of that. I don't know how long it lasts. Powdered cheese. Jody introduced me to powdered cheese and powdered peanut butter. Two really good things to have in your larder, in your pantry. Larder for Gemma. Gemma, you still call it a larder over there? Um, so that's right. Gemma's saying about 400 grams. That's nearly a pound. All right, it's $3. £3. Wow, £3. That would be nearly six. Oh, and about three-quarters of a pound would be about £4 sterling 50. That would be, yeah, you and I are about the same. Yeah, 1.6 pounds. Yeah. So you understand, it's like we're on a, so maybe Jody, I don't know what it is in the States. Are you also paying through the nose for cheese? I've learned how to make butter. Maybe it's time to learn how to make cheese. All right. So you know me. I'm always looking at these things just out of interest. Can I do it? Not I want to necessarily. Mind you, since the day that I learned how to make butter quickly, and I can make it very quickly, um, I haven't bought any butter since then. That's probably 2 years, 3 years ago. Okay, so Jody's saying €3 is a but they're back into pound sterling. They're not into euros. They came out of euros, Jody. So pound sterling. What is the going rate? I noticed that the Canadian dollar has plummeted recently. It's a bit like the JDT stock. Um, so what if food keeps rising? I would say, yeah, ask those questions. What are you going to do? Um, so if you don't know, then you might want. I asked a question which is relevant to me. What if I continue to lose my hearing, sight, and health? Very likely, right? First of all, I am now nearly totally deaf. My sight is failing, and I did something about that this week. But this is like, it's very likely. It's not a negative. It's what if? What do I want to do? How am I going to keep enjoying my life? Okay. So Jim is saying that that the price that she is quoting is for like the no-name brand, which is a bit like our President's Choice or whatever you have in your grocery store, right? The no-name brand cheese, which, by the way, 9 times out of 10 is a high-quality cheese anyway. It's like, hello. It's like 9 times out of 10, the no-name brands are just as good as the brand ones. You're just not paying for the packaging and everything else. You're buying in bulk rather than individual. So you understand the what if my site continues to fail is not a negative. It's a realistic thing. And I'm going to enjoy confetti corner more. All right. All right. One pound sterling is equal to 81 cents American. So, oh, really? That's amazing. It used to be 3 to 1 or 2 to 1. Wow. So £3 sterling is $3.73 American. So almost on a par now. Wow. Gemma's saying that Lurpak, that's another brand cheese, it's a crazy price, like $7. People were stealing it. Okay. So the thing is this, do you know how to make cheese? If you had to, not that you necessarily want to, do you know how to make cottage cheese? Because the thing is this, if you know how to make these things, if you're lucky enough to get some milk from your local farmer, you will be able to make butter and cheese if you choose to. All right. So does it make sense to you that instead of worrying myself sick about losing my sight or whatever, I'm going, hey, let me enjoy my life today at a different level. All right, Jody's saying the high-end specialty cheese is still kind of high here, but the store brand stuff is actually quite reasonable. Well, unfortunately, I like English cheese. I grew up on English cheese. So guess what? I'm buying red Leicestershire cheese, Gemma. I still buy red Leicestershire cheese. Can you believe it? It's twice. Maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to downgrade my cheese palate a little bit. So there we go. So one of the things I decided was I'm going to have more fun in Confetti Corner. That's my craft room. And I have decided, I've got a new thing, which is every Monday, I challenge my brain to learn something completely new. And as some of you know, I challenged my brain recently to make, hang on, to make these. And I want to show you this one because I think this one shows you can see the light there. There you go. Try and get rid of the ring light. Can you see the number of layers? That's 10 different layers of paper in that, if you can believe it. And so what I wanted to do, I made one, and it was just like, really? This is ridiculous hard work. But then, of course, what do I know? Once you've made one, you know how it works. So the second one I made in probably half the time. Get the ring light side of it. You see that? And then this is what happens to a creative person. And it's a really big problem because what I noticed was that when I took those layers off the cutting mat that I've got, all right, I had all these little bits left on the mat. See them? Hearts and stars. All right. Hang on a second. Hi there, Wayside Flower. Nah, don't downgrade your cheese. So UK cheese is great, by the way. Yeah, I agree with you. All right. Prefer the pic with the white background. How are you doing? Of these two, they've both got white backgrounds. Do you mean white frame or the black frame? Good to see you, by the way. Anyway, so you see, understand, I'm looking at these bits here, and I'm thinking I should really save those. All right. So what I did was, right, I started saving them. Right? Stars and hearts. And then I'm looking at this because I started with a smaller bottle, right? And so now I'm going, wait a minute, I'm getting quite a lot of these. What am I going to do with them? All right. So then I thought, well, what if I give them to my local stores at Valentine's Day? They can strew them around, right? And I'm thinking, yeah. And then by Tuesday or Wednesday, I thought, yeah, wonder what would happen if I brought that down from an 8-inch square down to a 4-inch square. What would it look like? Can you guys relate to this? This is how my mind works, right? So I thought, let me try that. So I took the design and brought it down 50% and ended up with this. And I'm going, that's a card now. Makes sense? That's card size. Now I've got cards that look like this. So I'm going, that's really pretty, unique, everything else. Then my mind goes, and what if I took the card and put it in a frame? And of course, then you end up with a baby. But wait, it's not over, people. There's more to this. So I'm still, every time I cut, I'm still looking at this and going, that's really quite pretty. Oh, wait a minute. All right, I'm getting some votes on white frame versus black frame. By the way, of all the viewers that have answered, we're about a 50-50 split, so I know I need to do both. And by the way, I've done the little one in a silver frame just so that it's different. Back to here. So I'm going, that's actually quite pretty, isn't it? So then I thought, wait a minute. Instead of putting them in jars, why don't I make these into a card? So hang on a second. So now we're up to here. How many of you are starting to laugh at me now? So and now we have hearts and stars in reverse as a card. And I did that smaller because the design is smaller. I want to keep it in proportion. So can you see that for a creative person, what if can create absolute genius ideas? I believe that Einstein was really good at asking the question, what if? All right, yes. Sandy said, I made initials for my friend's daughter years back. I remember it. I remember copying it. And with bubble spaces in between. Said I'd never do it again. That said, my daughter is still waiting for one. Okay, I want to tell you something. That is 10 layers. And because all 10 layers are square, all right, on this one, as it's a square, it's so easy to put together, right? You just need to get the order right. And you can tell if the order's right because when you hold it up, it's, the gradient is right. This one is more difficult, but here's what I found out, right? what I do, Sandy, is I don't take it off the mat. Okay. All right. I don't take it off the mat. And what I do is, this is the biggest one. And then I put all these onto this one. All right. On the mat. Don't take it off the mat. Just pull these off and put them on here. Then I take the second biggest one and put that on top here. And then I take the third one, and for the fourth one, actually, and put it on top. And that's all. I'm just doing 4 layers on these little cards. I'm not going insane. These are just much quicker. So can you see that if I hadn't asked the question, what if, I would be here? Because, the first question was, what if I put it in a white frame? And so my word to you is, keep asking what if. Contrary to what everybody else says that it's a bad thing, I don't think it is. I think it's an awesome thing to be asking. All right. So I realized that with a creative person, what if is half their creativity. All right. And for those of you who are creative, you know what I'm talking about, right? And so be aware of this. It is said that the what ifs will control you if you can't learn to keep them out. If you let them, they will fill you up until they are filled up with doubt. Well, I don't, see, to me, this is like, I had to stop asking what if, because otherwise I would have been spending all week in Confetti Corner. But it got worse. On Thursday, Ciora came. Ciora, for those of you who don't know, is the lady who comes to help me once a week to do things I can't do on my own, things in my garden, stuff like that, right? And so she arrived, and I have an ongoing list of things that we are working through. And every time I think of something and it looks like hard work, I put it on the Ciora list so we can do it together. When you do it together, it's half the work. So what I said to her, and this is where you bring out your fairy wand and ask, if I had a dream, how are you going to make that dream come true? And one of the things I've noticed is that, and I've got to show you this in reality. Hold on a second. Okay. What I want to show you is that each project I do, I create a pocket like this, right? So here's the pocket for this design. So I have a pocket. And I had pockets over here and pockets over there and pockets down on the ground and pocket everywhere. And I said, Ciora, if you ask me what I'd really like is I'd like to get all my die cutting stuff organized. And that was a big, what if I did it? Would it make my life easier? And of course, you and I both know that not only is it a good idea, but it's also going to create more mess. Wayside Flower is Linda from UK. Linda. Oh, a whole different story. Okay. All right. So not to distract, Nicholas now drinking his cuppa from your mug, Sal. Took a while, I know, but it's his favorite cup. And he also wants to say your pickies are pretty. Thank you, Nicholas. I'm glad you like them. So, yes. Now, Jonas is asking, what if I reverse the colors? A white card with red hearts would also look quite pretty, I think, especially for that last one you did. Yeah. So this one, you're saying reverse that out. That actually is on my list to do. And then why does it have to be red, right? And one of the things that I realize is we want, we have reason to have I love you type cards all year, not just Christmas. Anyway, going back to my thing. So you understand. So each thing I do, each one like this is one project, and I have a pack for it. And if I've got any spares, something goes wrong or whatever, it goes in here. So the next time I do one, if I need a spare, I look in here. Okay. Does that make sense? Now, how many of you remember I do make Christmas villages? All right. So let me just make sure you understand the gravity of my problem. These are the pockets just for my Christmas villages. Now, some of them I think, and my Christmas card. So this is all Christmas stuff. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, like that one, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. About 50. I had no idea. No idea at all. But as I was working through all these pockets everywhere, we've now got them into 3 different cubies. This one, which is Christmas. We then have another one, which is other seasonal for things like flowers. Hang on. So things like this is other seasonal, right? This is like spring stuff. And then some of you know I've been if you work with paper at all, what you end up with is a lot of offcut. And I don't throw stuff away. So I've been making flowers with my offcut cardstock. So, and why not? Yeah. So then seasonal would include Valentine's Day, spring, Easter, Mother's Day. That's all what I call seasonal stuff. And then we've got a third one, which is generic, things that don't fall into those other 2 categories. And so now, instead of them being all over the place, I have 3 cubies, the biggest of which is the Christmas one. I had no idea that I had done that much work. All right. So how many of you like this one? I actually, you probably know that took quite a lot of time, right? But you know something? I enjoyed making it. It took a day, but I enjoyed it. It gave me pleasure. So that's what you got to think about, right? And by the way, I ask you again, how much brain power does it take to think about the colors? How much brain power does it take to to cut it out and then Each one of these is about 5 or 6 layers, each flower. All right. So you understand, I don't see this as a waste of my time. I see this as using my brain. So, if you don't use it, you lose it. Right. Now, how many of you remember that I started doing some yoga exercises recently, and I can't get on the floor to do them, so I've been doing a couple, not many, a couple at night on my bed before I go to sleep. And particularly the ones that are about hip flexors stuff. Because, as you know, I was limping quite badly after the medication that I took affected my joints. The most amazing thing is, I realized this week I'm not limping anymore. And that sort of really blew my mind. I can't. I was with Yvonne on Saturday, and I said to her, "Do you realize I'm not limping?" And I hadn't noticed that. So is it because of the yoga that even a little bit of yoga has made that much difference? What if that's true? So I'm going to continue doing that. And, the funny thing is that Jody has, gone through 10 years of hell, quite honestly. And one of the things that I am delighted to know is that she's getting out and about as much as she can. And the reason is, what if she can't do it next year? When I say out and about, I'm not suggesting that she's going to the mall, and it's going to drive me insane. I'm not saying that she's going to go to the mall and do things necessarily, every week. No, that's not what she's doing. But she is getting out. And whenever she has to go out, in other words, for a doctor or a specialist appointment, what she does, she turns it into an event, right? It's like that's the beginning. And the reward is after you've done that, you get to have ice cream, or you get to have, whatever. And I think that's a wonderful way to do things, all right, that way. What do you think? So I'm going to put all this away because I did promise you that we would try to put together some fake meat. So let's see if we can do that. Just give me a couple of seconds just to put this, because I don't want to ruin this stuff. Way too important to me. But thank you. Oh, by the way, how much would you think I should charge for that? Right? That's what I was wondering. Whether you guys have got, how much do you think that level of work? Because I'm going to put them up on the website soon. I got a lot here, haven't I? Oh, hang on. Just need to get them out of the way. I'll be right back. I'll be back. And to answer the question, what if I hadn't reorganized all my pockets? My craft room would look a whole lot tidier than it does today. And I'm certain that you are all aware of that. Yeah, Jody's saying she's not sure about the pricing. Need to research. Thank you, Jody. But she's thinking about $30. You've got to remember that I need to include the shipping, because people don't like paying for shipping. So you have to include the shipping in the price. Here's what I was thinking. Wait a minute, one more thing. should I have the option, all right, should I have the option, which is I'll send you the card, you pop into the dollar store and buy a frame, you will save yourself $20 just on shipping and handling. Right? Because that's what people don't realize. That would add to mail this and protect the glass and everything else. I probably would end up with the cost of the frame and protecting the glass and packaging it properly. So I'm thinking about actually just selling the artwork, if you like. That's what I'm thinking. However, we also know there are people, my sister included, who would rather have the whole item. So I think I'm going to offer both. That's what I want to do. What if everything, this is Woody Allen said this, what if everything is an illusion and nothing exists? In that case, I definitely overpaid for my carpet. Because there is this whole thing about, are we living in alternative reality all the time? And I thought that was quite cute. This is just like, yeah, we can actually have a sense of humor about this stuff if we choose to. So here we go. First thing we're going to do is now. Oh, clean stuff going away. All right, now then, what we're going to do is find some glasses because I want to see. Okay, hang on a second. Jonas is saying you could also consider making all sort of lot with different color options so people can assemble them themselves. No, I'm not allowed to do that. The actual design, I bought the license. The license is for it to be pre-made. They're not allowed to sell the kit. And I want to tell you something. Most people, I found this, Jonas. You remember the little Christmas village? I pulled up one of those. I was quite interested. I sent it to Jody and to Lauren and a couple of people who I know were crafty. And I said, okay, here you go. And I didn't charge them. I just sent it as a gift and said, make it yourself. Jody, have you ever made yours? You see, what I found out was, although people are crafty, they actually don't end up making it, which would be okay, I guess, but I don't have the license to do that. But what I'm saying is that most people don't do it. What I did was I made it, but actually packed it flat with that you pull off the tape and then stick it together. And I thought that was pretty no-brainer stuff. But again, some people are capable of doing that, and some people are not. Some people would rather pay the price to have you do it. So it's an option. I agree. So anyway, what I wanted to do, that's why I got the glasses, was to see what is in this one that I enjoyed. Oh, the reason I can't keep eating this is because it contains soy, and I'm not meant to eat soy more than I can help. So has modified starch, salt, beetroot powder, natural flavor, tea extract. So not very much in here. And all you do is when you make it up, you just add water and a little bit of fat to it. Oh, I see clean envelopes. Excuse me a second. So I wanted to ask a question of you guys. How many of you enjoy stuffing? You know, with Christmas. I'm pretty sure that fake chicken is basically stuffing. I'm going to do a bit of research into that. We might do that next week. All right. So first thing, I found a recipe for it. Okay. And I've been buying bit by bit during the weeks. I've been buying the bits. What's this? So interested in Beyond Meat option. There's so much variety, and many of them don't use soy. No, but what I'm going to show you is you can make your own. Okay, here we go. So first of all, we know we need beetroot powder. This will probably last me 5 years. Okay. We also, in the recipe I found, we need nutritional yeast. That tastes like cheese. The word nutritional is important. We also need flaxseed meal. I could have bought flaxseed and then just pulverized it, but I didn't. Also, it calls for some coconut flour. I could have grown some coconuts. No, never mind. Okay, paprika, it calls for salt and pepper. Okay, and there's the recipe. So this is grain-free, high-protein, soy-free. Anybody interested? Okay, and then it called for lentils. Said brown lentils, but I had red. Use what you got, people. And then, now I added some other things of my own choosing. During the last couple of weeks, I have dehydrated onions, tomato, carrot, something else, mushroom. Okay. Jody, I'm thinking fake chicken is basically stuffing and then breaded, but I will let you know next week. All right. So all those ingredients, how many of you going, that is all healthy vegetable? Okay. But I need it. The recipe I've got, they make it wet, and I don't want it wet. It takes up freezer space that I'm trying to get rid of. But this was basically This made 2 pounds of ground meat. This amount, right? And that would have been 270 grams. It's equivalent. So here we go. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to put in the lentils, which I pulverized. I suppose some people would measure it. Okay, lentils. Lentils are good. Okay. Okay, and it said about 2 cups for 400 grams. All right, so I think, what do you reckon? It's about 1.5 cups there. Lentils are good for you. All right, now what do we need? We need about a whole can of sliced beets. Well, by the way, how many of you are going, yuck, beets, right? The thing is, beet really is the coloring. Oh, interesting. Sandy's saying, Sal, keep the flaxseed meal in the fridge or freezer. It tends to spoil faster than... There you go. That's what I love about having viewers. All right, so I'm going to put in... It said a whole can. I'm going to put in, I think, 2 tablespoons for my version. Okay. By the way, the reason I got rid of the good stuff is because I know about beetroot powder. It stains everything. not everybody that uses a silver spoon to do that with. All right, here we go. What's next? White mushrooms. They were in here. Okay, so I'm going to put all this in. So I bought a pack of white mushrooms, dehydrated them, a small pack, dehydrated them, and then pulverized them. Okay, I've got 1 onion, and I dehydrated them in that size. Got it? Okay. So carrots, everything, all dehydrated. Pretty good. Now then, also this week I got some broccoli in, and what I did is I took the stalk. And normally I cut that up and use it when I make shepherd's pie or something. But what I did was I dehydrated it. This is the stalk of a whole pack of broccoli. All good stuff, people. And the other thing, oh, wait a minute, let's do the half a cup of nutritional yeast. We can do that. We got that. So that's going to give it a cheesy flavor. Jody, tell me about nutritional yeast, if you can remember. Don't worry about looking it up, but I know it's good for us, but I can't remember why. All right, so Jody's saying I keep chia, flaxseed, hemp hearts in the fridge. I've got quinoa, chia, and flax in here. They've never been a problem. Maybe I go through them quickly enough. Yeah, I would have ground it myself if I thought about it, but I wanted to make sure I kept, some of this stuff real so that you could see what I was doing. All right, so this is flaxseed meal. How much do we need? About 1/4 cup. Now, for those of you who come from England, flaxseed is linseed, as we know it. And you probably know linseed oil. So I've got to put this stuff in the freezer. I'm trying not to do that, but never mind. Okay, so we've used that. Coconut. How much coconut? 1/3 cup. I've obviously got enough here to last me a century. Okay. Anything else? Yes. Garlic powder, for those of you who can take it. Oh, Jody's saying high in B vitamins, right? It can lower the cholesterol packed with antioxidants and can help stabilize blood sugar. I was curious. Yeah, that's why, I know all these things are good for you, but sometimes we forget why. All right, hang on a second. So now, what did I just say? Oh, if you can eat garlic, use it. I can't because I'm allergic. We've done that. Some smoked paprika. It's saying about 1 to 1 1/4. So we're going to get a lot of the taste out of the paprika. Teaspoons. 1 to 1 1/4. Yep, that's better. I can always add more if I need to. So about 3/4 of a teaspoon of freshly cracked pepper. Now, obviously, I could do this just before I use it, but I think it's about half. I like black pepper. Black pepper, very good for the metabolism, people. There we go. Now, salt, sea salt. Oh no, 1.5 teaspoons of sea salt. I'm not going to put that much in. I'm going to put about 3/4 of salt. And 3/4 of pepper. Right? Maybe even half a teaspoon of salt. I can always, I try not to add salt to my food more than I have to. Okay, and I think we're done. Have we put in lentils? Yes. Beetroot powder? Yes. Mushrooms? Yes. Onion? Yes. Onions in there. Nutritional yeast, coconut flour, flaxseed, garlic powder? No. Smoked paprika? Yes. Sea salt and that's it. Mix. Mushroom. Some of the mushroom didn't. Yeah. It's interesting, the beetroot powder clumps a bit. I noticed that. They obviously don't have declumper in the beetroot powder. But there we go. Now, I could put it all in the blender and have it all the same size, but I want to have the onion bigger than the other stuff. Does that make sense? What have we got here? Yeah, I agree with you about that. Buy the flaxseed whole and then grind it yourself. I just didn't have enough anyway. And I thought if I had some, then, at least you could see you can buy it that way if you don't want to do it. Anyway, so that's quite a lot, isn't it? So let's see how much we've got here. And I would say that this, when did I buy this, Jody? 2 months ago? Must be 2 months ago. All right, and I've still got, what I did is I put it into 3-ounce servings. All right, and I've still got, I think it was 3 ounce. Let me see. No, 1 ounce servings, because 1 ounce serving made about 3 ounces of meat. Yep. Ah. So by the time you put some water in there, all right, it'll make it into 3 ounce, and 3 ounces is a serving of meat. So there you go, 1 ounce. So let's see what we've got here. It's quite a bit, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to zero that out. We better do it in pounds for the Americans. All right. I will also convert it into grams for the people who don't speak American. All right. So now then, this is zeroed out. So let's see what we've got here. The color looks about right. That's 15.6 ounces. Or, yeah, just under a pound. 16 ounces would be a pound, right? So I made, just by guesswork, I made roughly a pound. That would be 441 grams to be exact, right? But I wasn't exact about my measuring. So what I'm going to do after the broadcast is I'm going to put this into 1 ounce baggies, all right? So I'm just going to take a whole load of, and I reuse mine, wash them in the dishwasher and reuse them. So what I'm going to do is, this will make me 15 meals. Now, what if there is another pandemic, another whatever? Can I now, because I've got it in the big freezer, because I will put all this stuff in the freezer now that you've told me to, can I now feed quite a few people fake meat if I needed to? See, that's the way I look at it. Jody's saying dried tomato and mushrooms. You know something, Jody? I try not to waste food anymore. All right. So I think at the end of the week, I will take, when I cut the top off a carrot, I will take the yellow bits or the orange bits and dehydrate them. I'll take the end of any vegetables and I dehydrate them and I turn them into vegetable powder that you would normally pay a fortune for which you would normally pay a fortune. All right. And I add this to my smoothies. Yes, Jody's saying feed people, yes, and feed them with great nutrition, not junk. And that's what I'm saying. That what I'm looking at here. Oh, now you want to know what am I going to do once I've opened the packet? I will then add enough water to make it the consistency that I want. Let's say I'm making burgers for myself. You just add enough water for that. And then the secret is in the jar, bacon fat. So I will add about, I don't know, half a teaspoon of bacon fat in there. So, by the way, if you happen to have bacon bits in your fridge or freezer or whatever, also add those, right? Why not? But I would not. So now I've got a totally dry mixture. And I know it's totally dry because I have dehydrated. How many of you do not have a dehydrator? You're probably saying, oh, that's fine if you got a dehydrator. I didn't use a dehydrator for this. Okay. What I did was I merely cut it up. You remember in the old days when we used to dry flowers between bits of paper? So I took these vegetables and I wrapped them in paper towel, and then I put them in a sunny location. I lie. I lie to you. I don't mean to lie to you. The first bit I did by my air fryer. I put it in the air fryer at about 200 for about 3 hours to get most of the moisture out of it. All right. Jody's saying, if I could have a mind like yours, Sal, I'd be all set. You've taught me so much that my pattern of thinking has actually changed. That's near mirror. Wow. Well, I know some people are probably rolling their eyes at this, and that's okay. I know some of us may need this. All right. And what if it happens? Am I already set up to survive? What did I say? I've probably got enough here as long as I can add the vegetables. And vegetables, by the way, you know what else I'm doing? I know that, hang on a second. Okay, this, and I want to make sure you see it. This I have grown from the bottom bit of a lettuce. You know when you cut the lettuce off and there's that bit at the bottom? I literally put that with its base of it touching water. Huh. Oh. Okay. Like this. Don't know if you can see, that's a cabbage, and it's starting to drop down roots towards the water. All right. This cabbage I've had over a month. And I thought, what if I can get it to start growing again? Will it? And sure enough, I just got about 1/4 of an inch touching the water, and you can already see that root starting right there. So I look at how much cabbage do I use in a month? Not much. Maybe a couple of layers, 3 or 4 layers. But what I do is when it starts to dry out, I take it and I pulverize it and add it to my mixture. This is the bottom part. Forget all that. Just the bottom part of celery. Okay? And look how healthy. It's the second one I've got like this. Interesting. I asked Lionel a question about a task and he answered, I'll try. And then a few seconds later, he said, wait, there is no try. There is only do or don't. That I want to tell you, Lionel, that expression will change your life. If I say to people, oh, can you come over on Friday? And they say, I'll try. I go, okay, that's a no. That's a no. I don't want people who try. I would rather they say, and this is what I teach my friends, they all know this, which is, yes, I'll be there. If something gets in the way, I'll let you know. It's a whole different story. Yes, I will be there. Now, there's a God willing thing in that, right? Sometimes life gets in the way. How do you like the look of that? Have I got plenty of garnish for a single person, plenty of garnish for my meals? Yes. And now, look at this. Can you see the roots growing through? Right over my computer. I keep saying not to do that. Okay. We'll just leave that like that for a while. So yes, it does look healthy, doesn't it? And I've already got one of them outside. And this one will, now that it's got roots going, this one I'm thinking about planting in the garden and actually put a cloche over it for a little while, for about a month, until it has. But I mean, how many of you are going, I'm getting close to being self-sufficient on certain things. Now, you all know that I grow my own tomatoes plants, and these are the first 2 taken from a tomato that came into the fridge. Okay. But what I wanted to show you is here. The carrots, right? Now you're probably wondering, does it grow a new carrot? No. But what it grows is carrot tops. And if you're interested, have a look at how healthy carrot tops are. So what I'm doing is I'm using these in, with my microgreens. Or if I've got a lot of them, then I will cut them and dry them, pulverize them, put them in with my other stuff. This is what, okay, this is what that is. And all I've had is I put that bottom bit oops, Bernard people. Okay, these little containers are great. They got holes in the bottom, right? So, and then this container has the water. So it's sitting in about this much water. And so now I've got nutritious greens, but not a garden full because I don't need a garden full. Lionel survived on frozen dinners and bagged salad when I met him. Over the years, he has learned to cook many dishes from scratch and even made homemade artisan bread. I want to tell you, my neighbor thinks that, my homemade sourdough is the best bread she's ever tasted in her life. And so it's taken me a while to learn how to make it, and I keep changing the recipe up a bit every now and then. But, I have not bought bread in the longest time. And what I do, again, this is about portion control, is I take it's about 3.2 ounces of dough, and I roll them. I put the ball into the baggie and then roll the baggie. These are pitas. Every day I allow myself one pita. But if I want to do more than that, I will just take out as many of these as I need. I probably make about 8 a week, right? And for those of you who love to give food to other people, I have yet to meet anybody that doesn't really like homemade bread. Right? It's just like, so you look at it and you go, learn these skills while you've got a chance, right? Because you'll be ahead of the game as far as everybody else. How many of you how much does this, obviously this is still growing, but how many of you can see if I don't know how many I need. I've got a feeling I'll need about 24 to be self-sufficient. But now that it's taken me a long time to get this far, but I've got a whole lot of them growing from seed, which I wasn't able to do before. You see, it's all about, have I learned how to do it yet? And I now know that I can grow these from the bottoms of things. So, okay. We were talking about chia. This is chia when you grow it. How many of you remember chia pet? So all I do is I grow it. This is a, what do you call it? A fruit cup, right? Just put a piece of paper towel in there, moisten it, throw some chia in there and leave it. Remember to give it some water about once a week. And now I could just keep trimming this off. I've got microgreens. It is fun to do. And by the way, I find it really interesting when somebody comes to visit. I'll be making a salad and I won't even think. And I'll go across and I'll grab some fresh lettuce leaves, or I'll go across and grab some microgreens. Say, what are you doing? I said, oh, don't worry, microgreens, healthy. Throw those in. So get used to this. All right, Jody's saying you make it fun and keep it interesting. Jody, is your basil plant still going? If not, time to buy a new one. All right, because that basil takes a regular meal and turns it into a feast. All right. I always think basil is one of the, for those of you in England, we call it basil. you know. Anyway, basil is a really, to me, it is like really keep keep the herbs that you use a lot, right? I am now turning one of my planters this year into mint. All right, so Sandy's saying, I've got to set up my aero garden with lettuce. I want to tell you, lettuce was the most difficult thing for me to grow. Do you want to know how I did it? First of all, did you know that lettuce does not like to be covered, the lettuce seed? So don't put it in the aero garden, put it on top of the sponge. Yeah, Jodie's saying that her basil plant, she kept it alive for almost a year. You see, it's like, it is like, how much money did you save by having fresh basil? You just walk across and grab a leaf or two. All right. I want to tell you that I have done lots of experiments, Sandy, and my aero garden, I use it. I found that it grows really strong roots on things. So I have learned to grow some things until they start to seedlings start. When the seedlings look like they've got some fairly decent roots on them, I then put them in the aero garden to get really strong roots. Jodie's saying we had many a pizza during the summer with homemade crust and fresh basil. There's no, I don't care what anybody says, there's no taste quite like it, right? One of the things that Benji said to me, the difference between hydroponic tomatoes and tomatoes that are grown in the earth, very different. But if you had to, could you grow hydroponics? And this is hydroponic, right? This is growing in nothing but water. Basically, that's what it is. And what I'm trying, as I've said, what I'm trying to find out is how many carrot tops do I need, all right, to be self-sufficient in greens. You understand, if I was sitting in a small space, in a one-bedroom apartment without the money to buy fresh vegetables, would carrot tops give me nutrition? And how many homeless people, all right, should we be feeding with things like this? All right. It's a really interesting sort of thought. And how much wasted space is there in your town where we could be growing vegetables for people? Yeah, apparently there is. Jodie's asking, there's a nutritional difference, Al. Yeah, but what I said to Benji are, not if you feed it the nutrition, surely it must be about the same. I've got, Jodie, perhaps we can do some more. Perhaps we can do some more research into that for next week. Can I ask you to do that for me? And then we'll talk about it next week. Yeah, let's look into it together, see what we find. So I don't know about you, but I love learning how to be more self-sufficient. You already know that everybody who comes to my house gets a present. It can be soap. It can be a card or two. It can be a Christmas Village item. I look at it and I go, I don't need to buy presents anymore, right? Because I'm making them. And it was so funny. Hang on a second. All right. I wanted somewhere where I could keep my smaller plastic bags. All right. So I made like a mini magazine holder. See that? And in fact, it worked so well that I made a second one. But then as I was making it, I'm going, I know whose name is on this, right? And so now they sit like this together. Oops. And I've got all my small plastic bags easily accessible. Okay. But when I was making it, I go, this has got Yvonne's name written all over it. So when she was here, I said, I think I've got something that you need, but I don't want to presume that. I want to make sure before I make it for you. And she took one look at it. Her eyes just went out like saucers and said, really? And I said, okay, fine. I just need to know what color. All right, Jeannie's saying, I gave your soap to friends and kept some for myself. I'm so happy with the soaps. Yeah, thank you. Hey, do you remember I said I made some beard oil on spec for somebody? Do any of you remember that? Somebody asked me if I could make some beard oil for a friend of theirs, and I said, sure. So I made 2 versions. Apparently loves it. He just can't believe it. Apparently his beard went from looking quite rough to being silky smooth, and apparently absolutely loves it. So if we've done this right, he's going to be taking that product under his name on tour. He's a musician, and he's going to take that product on tour, probably along with the soap. You remember I made the caramel macchiato soap. All right. So the thing is, what I want you to understand, what if I never tried any of these things? It took me 2 years to grow a lettuce, for goodness sake. But what I want you to see, that every step of the way, there is experiment and failure. Experiment and failure. And then joy. That all the time I am challenging my 76-year-old mind to think, to problem solve, to keep on trying. All right? And are these lessons that we all need to remember? Because what if I need these things? What if other people need these things? How many of you know that if the worst came to worst, I'd probably set up a community of people making stuff to help each other, because I have the skill now. I would be teaching people how to make their own bread, those that don't know. I would be, or making it and selling it so I could survive. Right? So, you look at it and you go, make it a hobby to be self-sufficient, a hobby. You got to think about, Jody, what did it feel like when you were making pizza and you walked across and grabbed a couple of leaves? Did it feel good? Or no, not walk across, but, whatever you do, hobble across. How did it feel? Loved it. Yes. So what else? I will be growing parsley again. I haven't put the seeds in yet, unfortunately. But parsley I will grow. I've got a sort of one container. I definitely don't buy green onions anymore. They're already this high in my garden. So now we're going to have some parsley. Just think about the things that you do use. Don't buy everything. Thyme and rosemary. Rosemary is, I think I might have, that cold -20 we had or whatever, I think it killed my rosemary plant, which was this big. I am heartbroken because it's not showing any signs of life. I think I'm going to cut it back and give it another 6 months, but I think it's gone. Broke my heart. Yeah. And it was, really nice sized bush. And I loved going, whenever I wanted some rosemary. And if I wanted, at the end of the summer, I would, and I have done that, I would literally take a whole lot of sprigs and then dry them, and then pulverize them so that I had dried rosemary. So think about, and just buy one pot. When Lionel goes to the store, let him add one pot. Maybe it's because they sell them now in the supermarkets a lot, right? Just maybe a parsley pot and a basil pot 1 week. One of them, and then just add. So you got maybe one a month you add or whatever, and see, right? Because you know how expensive that is when you buy it, and because you're paying for the bottle. All right. So, and if you're saying, well, there's too much of it, then take it, cut it, and dry it. For those of you who don't want to do that, buy fresh herbs from your supermarket and use as much as you need for the week. Keep another thing like a bunch of flowers in water. It'll last you a few weeks, and the rest, dry it and pulverize it. Wow, there you go. Jody's saying plants are covered under SNAP because they're technically food. Yes. And that's why I'm saying see what you can get that is the gift that keeps on giving. All right. One of the things I say about my artwork is, you can buy a bunch of flowers that'll be dead in a week, or you can buy a memory for the same price. So that is the whole thing, right? All right, so I'm going to get out of here. I hope you have found some things of interest today. By the way, which things did you find interesting? The reason I ask this question is, I don't want to waste a whole lot of time doing more food videos, how to make your own plant-based foods, if none of you are interested. So if you're watching on the replay, please make sure you leave a comment so that I know. How many of you can see that taking the what if monster and turning it into a positive both ways? And by the way, don't always presume that everything's going to go right. What if it doesn't? All right. And get balance. To me, the most interesting thing about doing the broadcasts is I cannot believe that for all these years, I keep finding topics that I find are fascinating, and obviously you guys do as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Right? And it's like I'm always learning. And if we're always learning, and if you're learning, you can take your stupid little bit of lettuce, all right, at the end of it, all right? You know what I mean by a fruit cup? One of these? Literally put enough water in there just to cover the bottom of the lettuce, like this. Put it on a windowsill and keep topping up the water. Once a week, empty the water out, put fresh water in. And then you're going to start seeing roots grow. You will see that this lettuce, all right, already has roots looking like that. I won't plant, I will wait another month before I plant that. I want it to have a lot of roots on it before I plant it. All right, so Jody's saying, I love the demo on the burgers, all right? So interesting. But I enjoyed the entire broadcast. Well, Jody, just as well. Thank you for your help. Obviously, I'm going to let this dry out. Not too much going on there. I'll put it up here for now. Not on top of your computer, so not a good idea. No, I'm not sticking the whole thing into rice. No. In case anybody thinks that, oh, wait a minute, the keyboard's doing things. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Why is my screen gone funny? All right, everybody. Thank you for being here, and thank you for doing. Jody, I definitely think we'll do our own version of chicken nuggets and stuff like that for next week. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we could learn how to make those ourselves? And remember, if you're interested, check on foods that came about in the war years or in the lean years on the prairies. You know what I mean? It's interesting what they came up with. And basically, they ate vegan. And so we know that you can eat basically a plant-based diet and be, yes, and add vegetables for nutritional value. All right, this is what I'm saying. And now it's like when I have that steak, all right, where I used to have this much steak, now I have this much steak. Boy, do I enjoy it. When I used to eat this much steak, I don't think I enjoyed it the way I do now. All right. And so think about, yeah, I savor every bite of it. I tell you, I really do. So, and how much joy am I getting out of my plants and stuff? I'm amazed how many of my neighbors have popped around and going, "You growing lettuce?" And I go, "Yep." So then it is time to start growing some of my. I need basil for sure. I don't know why my basil. I need fresh seed. I think I've got old seed and it's not working. So for all of you, have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Sunday. On Sunday, we're going to talk about the difference between toxic and supportive. And the reason I say that is a lot of what we say to people is toxic and we don't realize it. Yeah, Jody's saying you'll have a community garden going soon. Yeah, I really believe that. I've always said that when I first came here. I said, we've got 100 units in here. How come we don't have a community garden? I also asked this week of one of my neighbors, with 100 people here, why aren't we bulk buying things like toilet paper and stuff like that together? Oh, no, well, everybody wants a different one. Okay, fine. Yeah. Everybody's always got a reason why you can't do it, right? So I don't push it. I just ask the questions. And the main thing is do what you can. This is DearMamaSal saying, what if we hadn't started DearMamaSal? What would you not have learned? What would you not have learned, right? What would I not have learned? So thank you all for taking this journey with me. And thank you all for being aware that what if is a really good question. Don't let it bring you down. See it, okay, that's a good question. Now then, what am I going to do about it? And what if it doesn't? So I got both sides. If I've got both sides of the story, then I am in balance. Makes sense? Yeah, Jody's saying, if we hadn't started DearMamaSal, she's saying, oh, Lord, I wouldn't even be here. True story. Jody, I was thinking about that this morning. With tears in my eyes, I was thinking about that this morning. Isn't it amazing what you have done in the last decade to keep yourself alive? And I am so proud of you. And not only that, but you spend all this time helping other people. And I look at all that Jeannie's been through and all that she does. Sandy, all that you have taught me about creativity, please keep sending me your little projects, because every time I see one, it inspires me to do something new. And I love doing new things because it, challenges my mind. This is DearMamaSal saying, we'll see you on Sunday when we talk about the difference between toxic and supportive. This is DearMamaSal saying, bye-bye. Thanks, Jody. See you Sunday.